Adoboli is a Ghanaian who moved to the United Kingdom at age 12 and schooled and lived there for more than 20 years. He was jailed in 2012 after losses he caused his company in illegal trading amounting to $2.3 billion. He came out of jail early after serving half of his 7-year sentence and fiercely fought his deportation until he was removed in what he describes as an undignified manner and undignified deportation and returned to Ghana last Thursday. In the concluding part of his interview with JoyNews editor Israel, he opens up about his crime and his regrets and why, for the over 20 years he lived and worked in the UK, he did not seek British citizenship. Let's hear him.
I and my friends in the UK, my family in the UK, have been fighting this thing for 7 years. You become desensitized, right? You become desensitized to the UBS manipulation in the court. Okay, look, let me just say this straight out. I don't think I'm a victim of anything, right? I was a banker. There was a loss on my trading desk, but I didn't have an intent to make a personal gain. I was just trying to do my job as well as I could for the bank, as were my colleagues, actually. We were trying our best. We weren't actually trying to defraud the bank in any way. We were just trying to run a very complex trading book and achieve the very difficult goals we were being set, and we failed. When we failed, someone had to take responsibility. We talked, nobody wanted to do it, but because of the way I've been brought up, you're supposed to stand up, you're supposed to take responsibility, you're supposed to do the right thing. I stood up, I sent an email, I said, look, I'll take responsibility, you guys carry on running this book. That was the agreement, right?
Since you brought it up, let's go back to it. How much money was involved?
So the bank, we were running a $50 billion book.
$50 billion?
$50 billion. So it's at times just 2 traders. By the time of 2011, there were 4 traders, 2 seniors, 2 juniors. We weren't that senior though. You know, we only had 4 years experience.
And you were handling that book?
Just
that trading book?
2 of us, yes.
2 of you?
Yeah.
And what circumstances did you come to find yourself in that position?
So I had been in the bank for 3 years as an operations analyst. I had been brought onto the book in 2006 as a junior. I had no experience of trading whatsoever. The goal was learn on the job as you go. So you're just learning from your colleagues. I was the 3rd person to join the desk. In 2007, 10 months after I joined the desk, my boss left. He had built the book from scratch. And the bank had a choice to replace him or to leave myself and the guy who became my supervisor to run the book. So just 2 of us running $50 billion of risk into the financial crisis. The purpose of the book was to take the risk of our clients and internalize them in the bank in order to protect our clients, and then to trade proprietary risk, to use the bank's money to make profits, to cover the cost of running these positions for the clients.
Sounds all very complicated to me, and I'm sure it's going to be very complicated to the people who are watching. So if you could just break it down for us.
In very simple terms, our job was to take risk from our clients.
So your clients have risks?
They have a position, they have exposures, etc. And they just want to protect themselves going into the financial crisis, so they come to us to get that protection, okay?
So you buy the risk off them?
We effectively buy the risk, one kind of risk off them, and then sell another kind of risk to offset the different positions, okay? So you've got different types of positions, basically. But the point is that it sounds complicated because it really was very, very complicated. There were 4,000 different instruments on the book, every different asset class you can think of, being traded by 2 guys, right? At the time, I was 27, he was 25, and we were going into the financial crisis, the biggest financial crisis the world has ever seen.
At that point, had we anticipated, or had you anticipated, or do you anticipate that we are going into a financial crisis?
We knew in late 2007, so by summer of 2007 we knew. The rest of the world didn't really wake up to it until September of 2008, so a year later, but we knew in 2007. In fact, actually, We knew in March of 2007.
Essentially, UBS knew, and they're into the business of taking risks.
Yes.
And so they were making money off those risks.
Yes, and you know, to some extent, I mean, to be true, UBS actually ended up losing $60 billion through the financial crisis, through subprime and other bad assets.
Because they burnt their fingers. They were in there to make money.
Yes.
But
they lost $60 billion in the process. This was well before...
If it had gone well, they probably would have made a lot more money.
Yes, indeed. But that's the business they were in. $60 billion was lost. We went to the Swiss taxpayers. They bailed us out. Then the pressure came on us to repay the Swiss taxpayers as quickly as possible by generating as much profit as we could as quickly as possible. Since our trading book was the biggest in the bank, the pressure came on us to generate that profit to repay the Swiss taxpayers and then to rebuild the bank as fast as possible. By 2011, we survived the crisis, by the way, spick and span, generated you know, year after year of profits for the bank. But to do it, we designed a system called the umbrella, and ultimately the umbrella was later called unlawful. But at the time, the team knew about it, our bosses knew about it.
It was legit.
Our operations staff knew about it. Everybody was happy with the process because it was generating profits. We were open about it, and you know, effectively what I said during my trial is, you don't think something is dishonest if everybody knows about it, regardless. Despite all of that, in 2011, after an incredible start to the year where we generated $130 million in the first 6 months of the year, we then made a series of very bad decisions. We panicked, we lost control, primarily because we were working 20 hours a day for years on end, and we were really tired and just lost clarity of mind and control. Not out of criminality, not because we wanted to enrich ourselves, but because we were trying to reach the very difficult goals that were set.
It was overwhelming.